Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Season 3, Episode 5, the season finale of the Retro Wrestling Review Series. I hope you guys have enjoyed this season because I certainly have. I am going to be wrapping up this season, and I am going to be moving on to the next season. Now, as everyone's probably asking me, everyone's probably wondering what the next topic is of Season 4 is going to be. I haven't really fully decided yet. I don't even know if how long it's gonna be before I bring this show back, just because it's around Christmas time and I'm really struggling to get like school. Like, I'm not struggling, but I have to get my schoolwork done, and obviously when you're visiting in the family, it takes time out of your schedule. So I probably will make a Facebook status about it. I'm not exactly sure like what the topic is going to be. I have some ideas in mind, but I don't know like what topic I'm going to end up throwing out there. So I will let you know when I get an opportunity. I will be able to be more proactive on this because I will be done with school on like December 23rd. I'll be fully be done, so that's going to be really good. So I hope that happens. So yeah, let me get to this episode. So now I'm going to be covering the final episode in the Cruiserweight Classics. This aired on September 14th, 2016 in real life. And this was the finals of the Cruiserweight Classics. If you want to know the backstory, WWE went out and found 32 of the best cruiserweights all over the world. They did it in the United States, Japan, France, Russia, everywhere. I don't know if they did it in France or Russia, but they did it pretty much all over the world. And they kind of treated this, I'd say, like the Olympics. Because it was treated like a real sport. They had different people representing their countries. And, they made it feel like a real sport, which I have enjoyed. And whoever wins this tournament will be the cruiserweight, the best cruiserweight in the world. And we started out with 32, and now we're down to 4. We're going to be having the semifinals and the finals on this episode, and I thought that's just awesome. And the competitors that are in this tournament have really busted their ass to make it to this point. We have guys like Kota Ibushi, who in the first round beat Sean Maluta. In the second round, he beat Cedric Alexander, and in the quarterfinals, he beat the Brian Kendricks, all viable contenders and all in fantastic matches. Then he went on, and then we have Grand Metalik, who defeated Alejandro Ciaz, Tajiri, and Alejandro Ciaz in the first round, Tajiri in the second round, and I'm trying to remember who did he beat in the third. Oh, and Akira Tozawa in the quarterfinals. And then you have, so that's Kota Ibushi, Grand Metalik. And then you have Zack Sabre Jr., who defeated Tyson Duke in the first round, Drew Gulak in the second round, and Noam Dar in the quarterfinals. And then you have TJ Perkins, who defeated Mac in the first round, Johnny Gargano in the second round, and Rich Swann in the quarterfinals. So you have all these people who have made it this far. These are the final 4. And you have, I believe, I don't know exactly how this goes, but I believe Zack Sabre Jr. is going to be facing Grand Metalik, and TJ Perkins is going to be facing Kota Ibushi, with 2 fantastic matchups. You have Grand Metalik versus Zack Sabre Jr., the technical wrestling mixed with the high flying, but you have Grand Metalik, who has some technical wrestling, as we saw in his match with Akira Tozawa. And then you have in the other match, you have pretty much 2 hard-hitting styles. I would say maybe Kota Ibushi has the hard-hitting style, and you have TJ Perkins, who has the submission-based styling into the high-flying styling. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes. Now, how I'm going to structure this review is I am going to cover the semifinals itself, the 2 semifinal matches, all in one take, and then I'm going to cover the finals in another take, and then I'm going to cover like after I cover the winner, I'm going to cover where the cruiserweights themselves went, who went where, and I'm going to have to pull up like who we've seen, and I'm going to say whether the Cruiserweight Classics was a success or whether it was a failure. I actually think that's going to be very interesting to do. Now, another thing I want to mention is, too, each of these matches had time limits. You had the first 2 rounds, round 1 and round 2 had a 20-minute time limit, and then you had the quarterfinals, which was round 3 pretty much, that had a 30-minute time limit. I'm not sure how this time limit's going to work, if it's going to have an unlimited amount of time. I'm assuming the finals will, but maybe like the 2 quarterfinals will have like an hour time limit. But it is a 2-hour show, so maybe it'll have a 30 minutes, and then the other one will have like another 30 minutes. I'm not really sure. We're going to have to wait and see. But I'm pretty excited to see this, and I can't wait to see it. Now, I do know who wins, but still, let me be excited. So let's now watch the Cruiserweight Classics. The final episode, anyways. Okay, so we have Season 1, Episode 10, the final episode, like I've been talking about. We have Daniel Bryan and Mauro Ranallo on commentary, and I've been saying it for every episode. I really love them on commentary together. They've been awesome. Daniel Bryan, like I said, when he's done with this whole SmackDown General Manager thing, I'd like to see him do commentary. Mauro Ranallo is just great on commentary in general, so I really enjoyed him. And it shows a really good video package of the CWC. You hear Triple H in the background talking about what it means. And I thought that was awesome. And it talks about how now it's down to these Final 4. One of them is going to be the champion. So then we have the Final 4 video package. It shows all 4 members talking about the Cruiserweight Classics. Kota Ibushi says that it's been an honor for him to compete in this tournament. It's really helped him get noticed. TJ Perkins says about the same thing. And he says that he really is glad to be able to participate, and he's glad he's been able to make it this far in the tournament. Zack Sabre Jr. about the same thing. Grand Metalik, you know, and Zack Sabre Jr. even talks about how he's been happy to work with all the wrestlers all over the world. Grand Metalik says, you know, about the same thing and how about why they want to win the tournament. I thought it was really awesome. So then we had the first of 2 CWC tournament semifinals match. It was Grand Metalik versus Zack Sabre Jr. And this match was awesome from the beginning to the end. Grand Metalik immediately just starts with right off the bat with a drop kick, and then he hits a Torpe Corhiro right on the outside onto Zack Sabre Jr. And then he hits a springboard senton coming into the win, and this all happens within like under 2 minutes in the match, and Zack Sabre Jr. almost loses, but he's able to kick out. Grand Metalik goes for another high-flying move, springboard, but Zack Sabre Jr. counters with an uppercut, and then he just starts methodically picking apart Grand Metalik for a little while. And he hit some really good sick uppercuts in this match. There was a spot where Grand Metalik went for a springboard elbow, but he ended up moving out of the way and got him into a submission move. I thought that looked really cool. There was a lot of good. There was a spot where Grand Metalik even got a submission move himself and had him. And I thought that looked sick. The penalty kick that Zack Sabre Jr. hit looked really cool. And there was one spot where he had him up on the top rope, and he was going to go for a superplex, but Grand Metalik countered it, and then he hit a hurricanrana from the top rope. Zack Sabre Jr. was on the ropes, and Zack Sabre Jr. hit a tilt-a-whirl guillotine choke. I thought that was sick. Like I said, the uppercuts were really sick in the corner. Grand Metalik hit a sick big boot in this match. What else? Grand Metalik hit a drop kick from the middle ropes. What else? I'm trying to think of more stuff. Zack Sabre Jr. reversed a submission move into a Boston Crab. He got him. Zack Sabre Jr. got him into the octopus stretch. Just really good back and forth wrestling all around. Then eventually Zack Sabre Jr. goes for one of his uppercuts, and Grand Metalik counters into the Metalik driver for the win, and he ends up advancing to the finals of the tournament. overall, though, it was a really good match. I probably forgot some spot, but this match, I'm gonna say this was so quick, so fast paced that you wouldn't forget some spots. Like this match was awesome. But I really thought this match was gonna be awesome, but it really exceeded my expectations because it really was a sick wrestling match. Like from start to finish, there was high, fast paced action. Just really from start to finish. The commentary by Daniel Bryan was really nice, and the commentary obviously by Mauro Ranallo was awesome, and it was just really good. And I just can't. It was fantastic, and I was kind of like thinking, like, when, how is Zack Sabre Jr.? Because really, in this tournament, he's only been able to work with this people. He's only been wrestling. I shouldn't say this, but he's only been wrestling people with the same style of wrestling as him, the technical wrestlers. How is he going to adjust his moveset to be able to wrestle a faster guy like Grand Metalik? But he did perfect wrestling. He adjusted his style really well. And I thought this was a fantastic matchup. And then afterwards, William Regal gives him a medal. I think it's just a medal if you make it to the quarterfinals. And afterwards, he gets interviewed by the interviewer. I don't know her name. And I don't really know what he said just because he speaks Spanish and I don't speak Spanish. So, you know. And then the hashtag DYI get interviewed. Now, obviously, this is a separate storyline that they did. What was happening here was this was the first time they had teamed up since NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Two, because they had lost an NXT Tag Team title match there. And then this was the first time we had seen they had both been injured. Johnny Gargano had an injured leg from that match. And then he got the injured leg in his his second round matchup against TJ Perkins. And Tommaso Ciampa had gotten taken out by the Revival on an episode of NXT. So this was the first time they had been together. And they talk about how it's an honor for them to be on the final episode of the Cruiserweight Classics. And how they have been a great tag team. And they're going to show that after having the match together in the first round that they're a better team. And they talk about how they've been able to live in the moment at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn too. And he said that their purpose pretty much is to get their revenge on the Revival after taking them out. So, this was kind of to advance that feud. Obviously, everyone knows where that ended up going now. So, and then we had the final semifinal match on this show. It was a CWC tournament semifinal match. It was Kota Ibushi versus TJ Perkins. This was fantastic. They both start chain wrestling each other at first. Kota Ibushi keeps trying to kick TJ Perkins, but he ends up blocking the kicks. What else happens in this match? Kota Ibushi hits a wicked kick right to the chest of TJ Perkins, knocking him outside the ring. And he goes for the Golden Star moonsault, or the triangle moonsault on the outside. Actually, no, that doesn't happen first. TJ Perkins tries to go for the for a dive on the outside himself first, and then TJ Perkins takes him over the drop kick, and then then Ibushi goes for a triangle moonsault, but TJ Perkins counters by kicking him right in the ass, and he ends up falling really awkwardly outside the ring. It actually looked kind of sick. Ibushi barely made it back in. He tried to make it back in once, but he fell outside the ring, and he just barely beat the 10 count. So TJ Perkins dominates the matchup for a few minutes, works on the neck, and he also works on the injured leg to soften him up for his knee bow. And then Kota Ibushi hits a drop kick, and then he hits a triangle moonsault on the other side on the ring on the outside, and they both just start really brawling and taking it to each other. TJ Perkins hits the double knees to the chest, and then the fireman's carry into the Pele kick. Kota Ibushi ends up making a really strong comeback. He hits a bunch of kicks to the chest, and TJ Perkins hits the rebound drop kick move that he likes to hit. He gets him into the knee ball once, but Kota Ibushi immediately gets to the ropes. What else happens? Kota Ibushi gets TJ Perkins himself in a submission move, but gets out of it. TJ Perkins again gets him into a knee bar, but he's able to counter it. He goes for a wheelbarrow and goes to put him into the knee bar, but Kota Ibushi counters and drops him right on his head. And What else? Kota Ibushi goes for a Golden Star moonsault, but TJ Perkins counters into with a DDT, and the way he sold it looked really sick. Um, Eventually, Kota Ibushi does hit the Golden Star Powerbomb, but TJ Perkins kicks out, just barely kicks out. I thought that was sick. And then eventually Kota Ibushi gets caught into the knee bow, and he doesn't want to tap out, but then TJ Perkins has to bend his neck back, and eventually Kota Ibushi taps out, and TJ Perkins goes over and advances to the finals, and afterwards he cuts a promo saying that he expected to get this far, but it feels really good getting this far, and he talks about, too, how his dream, even though he's so close, it feels like he's so far away, and he's really focused on this next match, and this was just a really good matchup, and Kota Ibushi really did well in this tournament. I think everyone was surprised that he got eliminated, but this was to put over a new star, and I kind of like how everyone's like surprised that they had like Grand Metalik and TJ Perkins in the finals. I think it made sense because you want to have two new fresh stars, because everybody knows Kota Ibushi, and I think TJ Perkins and Grand Metalik going into the finals is really good. And TJ Perkins got booed. I think it's just a matter of circumstance, because a lot of the guys he's been facing are really fan favorites to the crowd. They just ended up liking him more. Because he got booed when he eliminated Rich Swann out of the tournament, and he got booed when he eliminated Johnny Gargano out of the tournament, and he got booed when he eliminated Kota Ibushi now, and everyone chanted "Thank you, Ibushi" afterwards. So, yeah, and he gets presented the medal too by William Regal as well. So yeah, this was really good stuff. I really enjoyed the semifinals. It was really good, and I can't wait to watch the finals between Grand Metalik and TJ Perkins. So that's going to be very interesting to watch. Okay, so now Noam Dar and Cedric Alexander get interviewed. It was nice to see them on this episode. And Noam Dar, they talk about like what it's going to... They get asked what it's going to be like for them to face a tag team like hashtag DYI, and what the strategy is going to be. And Noam Dar says that there is no strategy. The important thing is that they're on the CWC season finale live episode, and Cedric Alexander says that it wouldn't be an upset if hashtag DYI beat them, because we are a better formidable team than they are and all that. So I thought that it was a good promo by them. And then, so we get the match. It's Noam Dar and Cedric Alexander versus hashtag DYI. And I like that they put this match on the show just because it gave TJ Perkins and Grand Metalik some time to rest before they have to go up against each other in the finals of the CWC tournament. And it gave the crowd a chance to rest, because I think the crowd was still really hot for this match, but I think they needed a break from that part of the match. So, it made sense. And hashtag DYI dominate the first half of this match. There's actually a spot where Cedric Alexander goes for a drop kick, and Tommaso Ciampa's able to reverse it able to see it coming the first time, but then he doesn't see it coming the second time. And then after that, hashtag DYI pretty much takes Cedric Alexander and Noam Dar to school, and then Noam Dar kicks Tommaso Ciampa right in the knee, and then Cedric Alexander hits a Tompe chop, pretty much a flip dive on the outside. I can't say the name of the move right now. And then he hits a springboard DDT from the apron coming into the ring on Ciampa, and then they dominate Ciampa for a little while. And then Johnny Gargano gets the hot tag. He starts going off on everybody, and eventually Noam Dar takes out his knee, and they just really, all these teams afterwards just really started teeing off on each other. I thought it was really fun to watch. And there was one good spot where Tommaso Ciampa got Noam Dar up into an electric chair position, and Johnny Gargano hit a super kick right to his head from the apron. I thought that was a sick spot. Johnny Gargano hit a spear coming into the ring on Cedric Alexander. Then Cedric Alexander hit a wicked enziguri on Johnny Gargano. And what else? Then Tommaso Ciampa got in the ring, and Noam Dar hits a drop kick right to the back of his head. I thought that looked really sick. And then Cedric Alexander hits a springboard clothesline on Tommaso Ciampa. I thought that was really cool. And they just really started going back and forth. Noam Dar traps Tommaso Ciampa in the ropes, and he ends up taking out Gargano with a bicycle kick. And then Cedric Alexander hits a drop kick while he's trapped in the ropes. And then hits a brainbuster on Ciampa, and he thinks he's going to get the pinfall, and he nearly does, but Tommaso Ciampa's able to kick out of it. And then, what else happens? Eventually, Johnny Gargano goes for the roll-up into the kick to the head, but, Noam Dar reverses it into a knee bar, and Tommaso Ciampa's able to break it up. And then eventually the finish comes when, they hit the, when, first, Cedric Alexander goes to go off the top, and Gargano and Ciampa, well, hashtag DYI, hits a double knee super kick combo, and then they hit the sandwich, which is the same move, onto Noam Dar for the win. And this was just a really fantastic tag team match. I thought it was awesome, and then I thought it was really good. Nothing really to complain about. And now I'm about to watch the finals of the Cruiserweight Classics. Okay, I want to talk about the interviews in this take, just because I want the finals of the tournament to be its own take. So let me talk about it real quick. Let me just give me a minute. So William Regal gets interviewed, and he talks about how they put this whole thing together. They wanted wrestlers, not just for the sake of having wrestlers, but they wanted wrestlers that could go the longevity, that had the cardio to compete in a tournament like this. He talks about, training with some of the best cruiserweights in the world, and how he's jealous that they can't do any of these moves. And he said, and he gets asked by Mauro Ranallo, like, what in your opinion makes a great cruiserweight? And William Regal said that they have to have everything. They have to have no flaws in their offense. They have to be able to do submissions. They have to be able to have strong style. They have to be able to do everything. And when they fly, they don't just fly for the sake of it. They fly because they're smart and they want to hurt people. So then that was it. So yeah. And then Corey Graves gets interviewed, and he talks about, how he was shocked that Kota Ibushi had gotten eliminated from the tournament. How his favorite moment was the Brian Kendrick and his whole emotional run, and how it reinvigorated his career. Daniel Bryan even talked about how this tournament changed people's lives. Like, for example, somebody like Cedric Alexander, who never had an opportunity like this before. So, I thought overall the interviews were really good. I just wanted to get these out of the way because, like I said, I want the CWC Tournament Finals to be all one take. Okay, so then we get the main event. It is TJ Perkins versus Gran Metalik in the CWC Tournament Finals match. This was the final match in the CWC Tournament. This was these two men. 32 men had competed. They surpassed all 32 men. It was just these two. And the trophy's right out there. And before the match starts, Triple H comes out. And he says pretty much what I just said. 32 men started. And two of you are the best cruiserweights, but there can only be one. And he says the question is, which one is it? And he talks about, because I haven't mentioned this because I was going to wait till the end, but he says that the cruiserweights were going to Raw on that Monday. So, he says, but one of you guys is going to be going in the first ever cruiserweight champion. Now, I will get to that. I know technically it isn't, but I'm going to get to that. So I'm going to get to that at the end. And he unveils the title. It's all, everyone knows what the belt looks like, but it's all purple. And it's pretty much, I like the design because it represents the CWC. It represents what the 32 men sacrificed themselves for. So I like that. Then they start chain wrestling each other, and it was really good stuff. Gran Metalik hit a Torpe Suicida on the outside. He hit a springboard swanton bomb in the win, and he went for the pin, but TJ Perkins kicked out. And then TJ Perkins started dominating the match. He went after his injured knee. and he just really took control. He took control for a long ass time. Then he ended up hitting a rebound drop kick. He ended up hitting a Hurricanrana right on the outside. You saw them do moves in this match that they weren't doing in the other matches, which I liked too. And then eventually Grand Metalik hits a Hurricanrana from the apron on TJ Perkins. Like he's in the ring and then he hits it from the apron and he lands on the floor, which was sick. And he hits an elbow drop from the middle rope. But he doesn't get the pinfall. TJ Perkins gets him into the knee bar the first time, but Grand Metalik is able to get to the ropes. What else? Yeah. I'm trying to think of any other. When he hit the double knees by TJ Perkins, the mud blow, I believe it's called. That was sick. And the fireman's carry into the knee lift, the super kick by Grand Metalik. And then the submission move that Grand Metalik got looked really cool. And then eventually TJ Perkins gets him in the knee bar again, but Grand Metalik's able to reverse it. And he ends up hitting the Metalik driver. And he's unable to get to the pinfall because of his injured leg. So he just barely gets there, but TJ Perkins kicks out. And then he goes to hit the Metalik driver off the top rope. But then TJ Perkins reverses it into the knee bar, and then he doesn't have it fully, and then he eventually crosses Metalik's legs, and Grand Metalik ends up tapping out, and TJ Perkins wins the Cruiserweight Classics. And I think he was a great choice looking back. This was a guy that started wrestling he was wrestling I think for 18 years they said, and he was homeless for a lot of it. And he had the best story. If it was me though, I would say maybe Rich Swann had a little bit of a better story, but he had like the second best. I'd say Rich Swann just because he lost his parents at a young age. So, but TJ Perkins had I think Rich Swann had the best stories to win this match. You could make the argument for Cedric Alexander to win this tournament as well, or even like somebody like the Brian Kendrick. But TJ Perkins was, I thought, a fine choice. He's also but he wins the tournament. He gets presented the trophy, and Triple H puts the championship around his waist, and him and Grand Metalik shake hands, and William Regal and Triple H raise TJ Perkins' hands and crown him the new champion. And he talks about how the day that he got evicted from his house, he kept the key to remind him, to give him inspiration. And he says that he never thought that he would have a moment like this. He would see his heroes on TV, and he says now he can be a hero to people. And this trophy doesn't represent just me. It represents all the 32 people that busted their ass for this tournament. And he says that he hopes to be he says that those 32 men started out as his peers. Well, I guess 31 since it's, but those 31 men started out as his peers, but now they're his friends. No, now they're his heroes. And then, the confetti goes off and everything. So overall, this was a really good match. I thought the right person went over. You could make the argument for Grand Metalik go over, but you had to remember too that the person was going to be on the main roster all the time. They probably traveling all over the world. Grand Metalik can't really speak English. This is just how the WWE operates. And I don't know if he would be able to do like TJ Perkins, I think, was able to transition better to the main WWE style of wrestling than Grand Metalik would. So I think it made sense for TJ Perkins to win. And like I said, he had the better story out of Grand Metalik. But if Grand Metalik had won, I don't think anybody would have complained. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the match. And yeah, like I said, a really good match. So now let me give my overall thoughts on the Cruiserweight Classics and kind of like where it's come to now. Now that I'm, talking. So overall, I really enjoyed watching this entire tournament. It was awesome. I don't know how I missed it this summer. I'm really kind of mad I did miss it live, but I'm glad I finally saw it. I had a chance to sit down. It was awesome from the beginning to the end. Now, they talk about, the entire theme was they talk about how this is going to be like something that's going to be remembered for years. This is going to be a platform, memorable moments. And I don't think that, from what the WWE is saying, that it's going to be as memorable as everyone they're saying it's going to be. But I do think that people will be talking about this for a while. And I don't know how long that will be. Because you do have a lot of good moments in here. This was when the Brian Kendrick finally returned to WWE TV. And had his big Cinderella moment. And even though he didn't win the tournament, he still came out like a winner. You got to see the return of Tajiri on this. You got to see Kota Ibushi finally debut in the WWE. You got to see a lot of guys you never saw in WWE, like Cedric Alexander, Rich Swann, who was dancing around in NXT, but this tournament really helped him break out. You're gonna have moments like when Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa had to face off with each other. T.J. Perkins, breaking out, who had been in TNA for years as Puma and as Manic, and was wrestled other places all over the world. You got to see a guy like Grand Metalik, who's wrestled all over the world, finally get an opportunity. Who else were people talking about that finally got an opportunity? Lince Dorado, who's been wrestling all over the world. You got to see like new superstars get made in this tournament. And you got to see people that would never get these opportunities. So I love the Cruiserweight tournament for that reason, and I'm always going to remember it. Obviously, the memorable moments, too, is that Cedric Alexander versus Kota Ibushi. I think that's probably the best match of the tournament. It really made Cedric Alexander, and it got him really over huge. And, like, you're going to have a lot of memorable moments. Zack Sabre Jr., a really good wrestler there. So, obviously, you're going to have a lot of good moments. Jack Gallagher. But now we have to where the Cruiserweights have gone, which I'm not thrilled about. Seeing this kind of pissed me off a lot because of where the Cruiserweights are. You have the Cruiserweights on Raw, who really don't get any TV time at all. They're pretty much thrown in the piss break part of the show. They throw them into like a weird time slot on the show. It's just, and they just don't get over as well on Raw as they did here. The crowd doesn't care about them. And that's kind of the problem. Like, everybody talks about how the company would be better if Triple H took over. And maybe it would be. I'm not going to argue with that. But the problem is he can only really please one type of audience. He doesn't please the mainstream people that only watch Raw and that only watch SmackDown. And that's kind of the problem with Triple H. Because you hear the Cruiserweights and they don't get the reaction on Raw as they do in the tournament. And obviously, too, the reason they get such a good reaction is because of Full Sail. That Full Sail crowd really does it. I think it's a great crowd. Obviously, I have my issues with it. But overall, it gets into the stuff it's supposed to get into. But what needs to happen is I think Triple H needs to get some experience getting people into a different type of crowd. Not the NXT type crowd, but like just the people that watch Raw and SmackDown, because that's probably the reason. Like, since I didn't watch the Cruiserweight Classics, I didn't know a lot of these wrestlers, but now I obviously do since I just watched the Classic. But when Noam Dar had debuted at the time, he didn't get a reaction, that much of a reaction. You have, who else has debuted? Drew Gulak and Tony Nese, no one really knew who they were. Arya Daivari, I thought that was actually Daivari, like his brother, so you have a lot of the problems with that. Rich Swann doesn't get over it. Like, he gets over, but not as much in NXT and in, the Cruiserweight Classics. But the people you've been seeing, though, you've seen Rich Swann. You've seen Cedric Alexander. Cedric Alexander has not been used to his potential at all. It's just my opinion. There's weeks you go without seeing him, and then there's weeks when you do see him, he's either losing or he's in an inconsequential match, an inconsequential role. You have T.J. Perkins, who I didn't like as a Cruiserweight champion because he was so bland. And this T.J. Perkins that I saw in this tournament is a completely different T.J. Perkins than what I see on Raw. On Raw, he's pretty much known as the gamer. He got the dabbing thin. He comes out to the generic music. He was so generic on Raw that when he does this stuff here, it's so much different. Like they do it in a way where it gets over. He's not as actually bland, So I'm happy about that. You have the Brian Kendrick, who obviously was the best part of the cruiserweight division. Not gonna lie. Drew Gulak really doesn't do shit on Raw. He wrestles matches, but like he really doesn't get to showcase his talent really that much. It's kind of pissing me off. Tony Nese, same thing about as Cedric Alexander, but a little bit more of a jobber base. Arya Daivari, forget him. Like, forget about him. Noam Dar is who else? Lindsay Dorado really doesn't get much of a reaction. Yeah, and then when they try to do this setup with the cruiserweight division, where they have the purple ring set up, it doesn't work on Raw. It just doesn't. I think because it doesn't work in the Raw like arena, it only works as its own thing. So now they have their own show, which I am gonna watch the first episode, and I hope it's better. I hope they can get utilized a lot better because I think that's why they gave them their own show, because they were not being utilized well at all. They should have put them on SmackDown to begin with, but they didn't because they're idiots. I see in a sense why they put them on Raw, because Raw is the premier show and Raw has more time, but they just do not get used well. I think they would be used better on SmackDown because SmackDown's more of a wrestling-based product than Raw is, so that's just how I feel. And yeah, but you have seen some of them in NXT. You saw Kota Ibushi in NXT, and he's in really well. I heard he doesn't want to sign like a full-time WWE contract, which I don't blame him. And who else? Mustafa Ali, I think his name was. You saw him in NXT. Sean Maluda. I think that's about it. You haven't really seen a lot of the guys go to NXT. Which I like to see some of them go to NXT, but I think that might be it. Cedric Alexander's appeared there a few times, but he's mainly a Raw guy now, so. But, I think the Cruiserweight division really has been failing on Raw. They pretty much took away TJ Perkins' moment. I'll say this, that at the end of the day, that was his history-making moment. Anytime someone's going to think of the Cruiserweight Classic, they're going to think of TJ Perkins, so. I don't know if they're going to do a tournament like this again. I don't think that if they do another... I don't think they're going to do another Cruiserweight tournament because that would be kind of pointless and meaningless. I think they should... I'd like to see them do a tournament with 32 women. Because you really want to get the women's division over. That would be something. Maybe tag teams you could get... Because there's a bunch of women that you could get. I don't really know, like, all over the world, but you could do a women's tournament. I heard that's in the works. And that would be sick. Obviously, though, I don't think they're going to do... and if not, maybe a women's tournament. Maybe do a tag teams tournament. You got tag teams like the Young Bucks all over the world. You got tag teams like the Bullet Club. I think you can do a lot of... you can do some tournaments. You have a lot of tag teams all over the world you can grab and do tournaments. Yeah, there's wrestlers all over the world. I do think they should probably wait maybe a couple of years, obviously, so that way they can, because they just did this, they probably don't want to dive into something again right away. And the Cruiserweights, we wouldn't see it next year because they said they took them a whole year to come up with this, so we'll have to wait and see. But I would like to see them do something like this again because it was awesome. But not with the Cruiserweights, maybe with like like a women's tournament, or maybe like a tag team tournament, so I think that would be awesome. But yeah, so the Cruiserweight division, like I said, has kind of failed on Raw. But yeah, I definitely think this is definitely going to be something that's memorable. I'll just put it that way. It is going to be something that people are going to remember for a while, I think. It just kind of sucks to see where the Cruiserweight division kind of went. And I think I'm hoping that now they have their own show, they can utilize a little bit better. So overall, that's really all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this season of the Retro Wrestling Review Series. And like I said, I don't know what my next season's going to be yet. I have a couple of ideas, but I don't know. I may have to put this show on hold for at least a couple of weeks because the series that I want to do. I may have to wait till after Christmas to start it because it's going to be difficult for me to actually begin that season until That's totes. But overall, hope you got so make sure to guys subscribe to my channel and make sure to subscribe to my CM Brothers and my on the Talkinator channel, and obviously the channel all the other channels down in the description box. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.